Yes, so let's move on to something, let's say, slightly less glamorous and colourful.
Yes. Yes, we wanted to put our tongues firmly in our cheeks or out of our cheeks. I don't. Anyway, Billion Dollar Brain's next film we're going to talk about, and we'll have mentioned this in passing back when we covered the other Harry Palmer films in our criminally underappreciated Spycraft February 2016 episode. Go check it out. But mainly, I think I was talking about this in a negative sense, but this was based on a much younger and therefore stupider me of 20 plus years ago's memory of it. So, to be clear from the off, this is the worst of the series proper, assuming you rightly ignore the two mediocre made-for-TV efforts, but it's an awful lot better than I remembered it to be. Kane returns, naturally, as Harry Palmer, now running a failing private detective agency, but still charmingly contemptuously rebuffing his old boss, Colonel Ross, Guy Dolman's job offer. Happily for us, a plot phones him up, a computer-generated voice offering him a seemingly simple courier job to Helsinki. So off Palmer pops, finding on the other end his old friend Leo Newbigin, Carl Malden, him again, working alongside Anya, Francois d'Orléax, who's taking orders from a familiarly voiced computer, which is apparently based in Texas and belonging to a billionaire oil tycoon and diehard patriot, General Midwinter, played by Ed Begley. Now, without going too deep into his plans, he's very much against communism, and he's doing his darndest to bring about its downfall, up to and including mobilising, somehow, his own army, and using the unparalleled predictive power of his computer brain, by which he means a computer. He's not a cyborg. That would have been too awesome. However, Leo has not been entirely truthful with his inputs on the results of his actions and his network of entirely fictional agents across Latvia, whose paychecks he's been pocketing, and so garbage in equals garbage out. So Midwinter stands ready to kick off World War III and invade Latvia, while Harry Palmer is caught in the middle between his old boss, Colonel Ross, and similarly returning KGB acquaintance, Colonel Stock. Now, I think the excesses of Billion Dollar Brain stick out a bit more in my mind, certainly compared to the more grounded Ipcress File and Funeral in Berlin, Ed Begley's purposely grandstanding scenery-chewing turn, and the character's plans stick out like a sore thumb amidst the rest of the series, and even the first half of this film, which is broadly as low-key as all the other films. That, it turns out, is the point. He is a ridiculous character, and so he's ridiculed explicitly by the characters. I know writers who use subtext, and they're cowards. If you're going for excess, I suppose Ken Russell at the time would be the man to call. I'm not as familiar with his work as perhaps I ought to be, but certainly he's making his stylistic preference felt here, particularly when Midwinter is going ham towards the end of the film. I'm not 100% sure it works, but I'm more open to it this time around with a somewhat broader film palette to draw from. It's a bit like getting David Lynch in to do the next Bond film. It was perhaps a little bit too different for my younger self to begin to appreciate, but hey, it's certainly different. You've got to give it that. Now, in other company, its more outre nature might have made this the oddball recommendation award for the podcast, but boy do we have some right doozies coming for you later that make this seem kind of pedestrian. So, overall, it's better than I remembered, and there's a lot in here that I like. It looks distinctive, Kane remains excellent, and there's some really sharp dialogue in here. Almost uniquely in today's selection, it has characters with understandable motives that are related to you in ways that make a degree of logical sense. You know, it covers the very basics of storytelling, and well, I'll take what I can get in this episode, but it is still a big step down from the Ipcress File and Funeral in Berlin, but perhaps not quite as big a one as I remember.
Yeah, this film for me was very much a film of two parts, and sad to say that the second part of it I found considerably less interesting than the first.
Yeah.
So the first half,
entirely fair, yes.
Yeah, the first half I'm generally very intrigued, like because you've got the computer voice on the phone. You don't quite know what's going on. There's Carl Malden. Is he a bad guy? Is he a good guy? Well, he's clearly not a good guy, but is he necessarily a bad guy? You've got that sort of the intrigue going on. I'm not quite sure what's happening because this is the first time I've seen this film, so it's all new to me, and I'm quite intrigued. And I'm hoping they would play a bit more with Harry Palmer having he's coerced back to MI6, MI5, or whichever one he works for. So he's supposed to work for MI5, but they're not supposed to work outside of the country. Anyway, this maybe doesn't matter. I do tend to get hung up on minutiae. I know it's a failing. Yeah, so, and it's kind of interesting setting, and you're not quite sure what's going on, and then you have the almost comedy Latvian patriots group, but who also tried to kill him, and I'm like, okay, this it's kind of strange, but I'm quite liking it. I'm quite interested. And I'm thinking, because you don't know at this point what the computer is, where the orders are coming from. And I'm thinking, is this just going to be like there's an actual kind of supercomputer, an artificial intelligence someone's made, but it's kind of taken over or something, which is, I assumed where it was going.
Yeah.
I really thought it was going to be like this was like the mastermind was the computer. And
it would have made a much more interesting film if that was the case. Yeah.
Although it possibly would have cost the actual. I noticed in the opening credits, the title sequence, they used the old British style of billion, which was actually a million.
Yeah,
That would have cost a shed load of money.
Yes.
It's weird. Billions used to be different. Now, at least in English-speaking countries, they all tend to use the same one, which is... I ended up down a Wikipedia rabbit hole looking that up because I couldn't remember. I knew there was a difference. I couldn't
it was like short billion and long billion or something like that, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. Boy, are we getting off topic. So I'm thinking it's the AI and stuff. And I thought that'd be quite interesting. That it kind of coerced people. Maybe that's how Harry Palmer had to find out it was that actually the villain was a computer, and you get to it's just this scenery chewing,
frothing
Ed Begley and that. And I'm like, oh, I've never seen Ed Begley in much that I can recall, other than he's really, really good as the horrible racist guy in 12 Angry Men, because there's nothing in 12 Angry Men that isn't really, really good.
Yes.
But that's the only time I can recall seeing him. And in this, good Lord.
Yeah.
Not a bit of scenery left unchewed. He's a terrible actor. It sort of fits the frothing at the brain character who's, in terms of how much he hates communists, thinks McCarthy's a lightweight.
Yeah.
An amateur. A beginner, even.
I don't know if it's 100% fair to say that he's a bad actor, because I've not seen enough of him to really know, but I think this was clearly a very deliberate choice to go overboard with that character, because it stands out so much in relation to everything else that came before it, that
exactly.
It's got to be a deliberate choice. I don't think it was a good choice, but it was definitely a choice.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I did have that thought in mind because I'm only familiar with him in 12 Angry Men that I can recall, and he's excellent in that.
But I mean, between that and the way that some of his like his rallies get shot the same way that you would have like Vader addressing a crowd of stormtroopers towards the end of it. You know what I mean? Is they're clearly kind of hamming up that kind of bombastic elements of it towards the end. And as I say, I don't think it works, but I can at least see what they were going for. But
that's the thing, it's not even he's a Nazi, and he's portrayed as a Nazi, and I think that's really weird, because the first time you see him with like the burning torches and stuff behind them, or the bowls of flames, it's very kind of, I mean, I don't know, there were flames at the Nuremberg rally, but it's that it immediately makes you have that feel. And it's not like I am interpreting this as being like a Nazi. No, they're saying he's a Nazi because the logo of his company is pretty much nigh on identical to the Nazi Reichsadler.
Yes.
Which is that sort of very stylized kind of eagle with the head to the right and the swastika and a circle under its feet. The logo of his company is almost identical to that. And the shorter logo, sort of the kind of symbol, is sort of halfway between the SS, double S's of the SS, and a swastika.
Yeah.
It's not subtle.
No.
They're saying he's a Nazi.
Yes.
But that doesn't go anywhere. That's actually irrelevant to what happens, given that the important thing is that he's a frothing at the mouth anti-communist capitalist.
Yeah, and there's got to be a message in there somewhere. Between his bombast and plans and the absolute ease in which his plans are swatted aside by the Russians when it actually comes to it, there's got to be some message in there. I'm not quite getting it myself. I don't think it was particularly successful in how it portrays that to you, but the way that he is just dismissed by the Soviet apparatus at the end, there's got to be something in there that's there's some sort of message from Russell or the scriptwriters, but I'm not quite sure what it is. And I don't particularly care to go back and try and figure out what it is either. It's the better film than I remember, but I still would never choose to watch this over Ipcress File or Funeral in Berlin again.
I say it really is a film of two halves for me. Cause the first half really intrigued me, and I'm liking it, and then the second half, what?
Yeah.
I mean, say, Scott, it must have been a choice, but it was a crazy, crazy choice.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose Ken Russell's... There's no shortage of crazy choices among Ken Russell's career from the limited amount of things that I've seen, but maybe I have to revisit that. But yes, in terms of this film in particular, I don't think it works, no.
No. He's just like he's been airdropped in from a different film entirely.
Yes.
So, had he done a role like that as the bad guy in something like an Austin Powers type film, it probably would have fitted.
Yeah.
But the Ipcress File and stuff, the Harry Palmer stuff, is quite straight.
Yeah.
I mean, there's humour. Michael Caine cracks wise and stuff, but it is a serious type of film, at least in terms of like an action spy flick.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a comedy, it's not a parody. The only other thing that had this film had me wondering about, though, was, did shops used to have foot x-ray machines? That seemed weird. Was that a thing?
I guess it must have been. I've not been in Clark's in a long time, so maybe they still do. Who can say?
I suspect that most people have no idea what I'm talking about. Just, the film starts off with Harry Palmer being asked to take a mysterious package to Finland and be told not to open it. So he decides, well, I could x-ray it to look inside. This all makes sense. But then to x-ray it, he walks into the shoe department of a department store, which have several machines called pedoscopes, which are apparently full-on x-ray machines. Because foot cancer was desired in the 1960s. I don't get what was going on there.
Yes, very strange. But
that really sort of was like, why was that a thing? Why was that a thing? That can't be the thing. Was that a thing? They would have put it in this if it was a thing. Surely that's a hell of a thing to investigate and to invent. Because if they needed to invent it, they could have just gone to hospital. So my mind was racing at that point. Like, what is going on? My mind wasn't racing as much as it was in other films, though, for very different reasons.
By no means the strangest thing we'll cover today. But yes, perhaps final word on this will come from the Exploding Helicopter podcast. That's at Chopper Fireball on Twitter. After establishing the Harry Potter films, after establishing
that would be a different spy film.
Yes, very much. He's up to no good. After establishing the Harry Palmer films as the anti-Bond with their gritty verisimilitude, Billion Dollar Brain makes the baffling attempt to outdo the extravagance of the 007 series. Stylish fun, but makes absolutely no sense in terms of the franchise's prior trajectory. Yes, it really does. As you say, it's like it turns into a different film halfway through, and it's very strange.
That second half is the bed, basically.
Yes.